Imagine working your entire life, saving every dollar, doing everything right, only to wake up one day and realize your money can't even buy a loaf of bread. Not because you spent it, not because you lost it, but because it became worthless. This isn't fiction. This is what happened in Germany after World War I. When the war ended, Germany was left devastated. Its economy was shattered, industries were weakened, and millions of people were struggling just to survive. But the biggest blow came from the Treaty of Versailles. Germany was forced to pay massive reparations to the Allied powers, billions in gold and foreign currency. And here's the problem. Germany didn't have enough of either. So the government made a decision that would change everything. Instead of raising taxes or cutting spending, they turned to the printing press. More money, more bills, more currency flowing into the economy. At first, it felt like relief. Businesses reopened. Workers got paid. The system seemed to function again. But beneath the surface, something dangerous had already started. Prices began to rise. A little at first, then faster, then uncontrollably. This is inflation. But what Germany experienced wasn't normal inflation. It was hyperinflation. By 1922, the German mark was rapidly losing value. By 1923, it collapsed completely. A loaf of bread that once cost 1 mark, then cost 100 marks, then 1,000, then 1 million, then billions. And it didn't stop there. Prices were doubling in days, sometimes hours. Imagine going to a store in the morning and seeing a price, then returning in the afternoon and it's already doubled. People were paid multiple times per day, not because they were earning more, but because their money was losing value by the hour. Workers would leave their jobs at lunch, rush to the market, and spend everything immediately, because waiting even a few hours meant losing everything. Children played with stacks of cash like toys. Families used money as wallpaper. At one point, it became cheaper to burn banknotes for heat than to buy firewood. Think about that. Money, designed to store value, had become more useful as fuel. Savings accounts? Gone. Pensions? Wiped out. The middle class, people who had spent decades building stability, were destroyed overnight. But not everyone suffered equally. If you had real assets, like land, gold, or foreign currency, you survived. If you had debt, you actually benefited, because you could repay massive loans with money that had become worthless. This created a massive divide in society. Some people lost everything, others gained power. And that imbalance created something even more dangerous than inflation. It created anger, frustration, and desperation. Businesses couldn't plan for the future. Prices were unpredictable. Trade became chaotic. At one point, foreign currencies like the US dollar became more trusted than Germany's own money. People stopped believing in the system. And once trust is gone, the entire financial structure collapses. But here's where it goes from economic crisis to historical turning point. Because when people lose everything, they don't just look for solutions. They look for someone to blame. The government had failed them. The currency had failed them. The system had failed them. And in that chaos, new voices began to rise. Voices promising order, control, stability, a way out of the suffering. This period of economic collapse helped create the conditions that would later allow leaders like Adolf Hitler to gain influence. Not because of one event, but because millions of people were desperate for change. That's the real danger of hyperinflation. It doesn't just destroy money. It destabilizes society. It changes behavior. It shifts power. And it can reshape the future of an entire nation. Eventually, Germany stabilized its economy by introducing a new currency, the Rentenmark, and stopping the endless printing. But by then, the damage was already done. Trust had been broken, lives had been destroyed, and history had already been set in motion. Now here's the question you should be asking yourself. Could this happen again? Because the core principle hasn't changed. Money only works because people believe in it. Not because of paper, not because of numbers, but because of trust. When governments print too much, when debt grows out of control, when confidence starts to crack, the system becomes fragile. And history has already shown us what happens next. Germany in 1923 wasn't the only case, and it won't be the last. So the next time you hear about inflation, money printing, or economic crisis, Don't just think about prices going up. Think about this. An entire nation once watched their money become worthless in real time, and by the time they realized what was happening, it was already too late.